Greetings everyone and welcome back to the second part of Summer Year 3 for our clan. And by the looks of it, Amir is actually managing to put together a fair bit of this area. We might even be done with the full structure of there. I'm actually quite impressed by that. But in the last episode, we managed most of the structure of a new clan cottage. Hopefully we're going to be able to get 2 of those by summer's end, though that is looking a little bit less likely. And also the sad necessity of a pet graveyard. We had our first pet die. Here lies Orestes. We will keep that ever-burning torch there for them to light the area. Hopefully once the heather blooms and the trees have grown, that'll be a really lovely little spot. Talking about trees growing, I'm very hopeful that we're going to be able to get a bunch of trees down here, but there's an awful lot of work for our farmers right now, so I'm not holding my breath on that one. Now, a couple of other things that we need to get done. I'm starting to see a lot of time being spent walking to and from a place, so I'm thinking maybe adding in some more dirt paths would be a worthy thing to do, even though that is going to take away some time from other stuff. Ooh, actually, dirt paths can't go over bogs, which is a bit of an annoyance, nor can they go over stone. But still, we can draw a path out, and in fact, this path is going to be very, very helpful. There's an awful lot of trees down there that we're going to want to get to. I may as well add in the mulch paths around here as well. And on that note, might want to add mulch paths up at the new cottage as well. Let's go and have a look at that cottage. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring out some mulch paths down here, since this is going to be probably a main path for the clan moving forward. Now, as for the building itself, well, we've got a couple of things that we can do. We've got 2 idea points, and there's a lot of stuff that we can invest that into. Now, one thing that I have noticed, and that is the crazy value of having wood walls. This wall requires 1 plank and nails. Now, that requires metal, but we've got lots of nails available to us. The log wall, however, requires 5 logs. A log can be turned into a plank at a rate of 1 log to 2 planks. The value for money on making your walls out of planks instead of logs is bonkers. So we're actually going to be doing the other cottage out of wood walls. And in a way, I kind of like the idea of having cottages made of different stuff as well. It kind of shows the evolution of the clan in a way. But we're going to want roofs, and we're also going to want floors. Wood floor over here versus the brick floor that we're currently going with 2 bricks and some clay. I mean, that's not a terrible one. Or we can also have down here fancy tile floor, just requires 1 tile. Though you have to actually make these at a workbench, it seems. That's an interesting one. And the fancy wood floor over here as well, made at a workbench. I don't think we're going to worry too much about that for now, but we are definitely going to pick up the wood walls. Now, the obvious problem here is that I've already partially started building this, so there is something to be said about me biting off more work than I can chew, but I would like to see how quickly we can put this together. What? You need 5 planks? You lied to me? Never trust the game UI. Oh, well, that still is more value, because we will end up with twice the wall building potential, but I might not have gone for this had I realized that was going to be the case, if I'm perfectly honest. Now, do I want them exactly opposite each other? No, not really. I would like them a little bit offset. So I'm going to go ahead and redesign this over here, but we're going to be using wood walls, and that'll be the next clan building. Give me just a moment. And there we go. Let's try and get this together nice and fast. We've got 300 planks, to be fair, so I'm not too concerned about the materials, but it is a shame that we don't quite have the amazing increase in available resources that I thought we would have building this building. Again, I might not have gone for that. I might have gone for a different roof with those idea points, but we are actually getting idea points thick and fast, so I'm not too concerned with that one for now. Right, on that note, are we making some more jugs? We are. Good, because we are somewhat shy on pallet, unfortunately. Now, I'm going to set this one up to pretty much take any jugs, but it should take them as a fairly low priority. Well, it should be higher than that at the very least, or at least this shouldn't take jugs of any sort. There we go. That should keep that one nice and clean. This is for food and food only. Carcasses possibly as well. I really do wish that we actually had that set up for carcasses. You know what? I could easily do that. Let's go ahead and remove part of that stockpile. And we will set this up for corpses. There we go. And then we'll keep them in the freezer like so. If we head in here, yeah, it can be pretty... let's not put humans in our freezer. Please and thank you. Start rumours. This is not RimWorld. Right, how's the guests doing? The guests are doing okay. We've only got 3 tonight. That's not terribly bad. Worse things have happened. But I haven't seen too many instances of us having 5 guests in quite some time. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe that's a sign that something's wrong. What are you trying to say, game? Is our guest house not good enough for you? Scallywags. Okay, it is morning on the 6th of summer, and we have traders and workers outside. We got some more mushrooms that I'll be happy to take. I'll also take the peat just so that we don't have to go out and gather any. And we've got some wool hanks that we can sell, which I'm very happy to do. I am starting to notice that more and more of our animals are going out to graze, so I think we've managed to reduce their number enough to sustain the speed at which the grass is growing outside. Again, remember, we're not actually doing anything more than just giving a little bit of fertilizer at the beginning of spring. Maybe we should top that off, I don't know, but we don't really have enough fertilizer, or rather, it's not getting done fast enough. It is a planting job, so there is something to be said about maybe having more planters in the colony. We've got some more fish that I wouldn't mind taking, though. And given that we're probably going to be using bricks to floor the area, I'm going to go ahead and buy those bricks and sell the ridiculous amounts of linen hanks that we have. My goodness, that's going to make us some cash. Egads. Wow. It looks like we may honestly be at a... Oh, we have got too many animals and not enough beds. That is not a good place to be. Okay, we're going to have to maybe sell a little... some more of our animals. Or, sad to say, maybe say goodbye to some of our animals. Given that, then. I don't like the idea of us not having enough beds. And Winterblade... you're not even senior yet, so I'm hesitant to do that, but we have plenty of young lambs, so I'm going to set up a couple of the lambs to be slaughtered there we go. Let's free up a couple of beds. We'll have plenty of... In fact, we're going to thin the herd dramatically. There we go. We'll have plenty of lambs there. We've got lots of chickens too, and they're taking up a lot of the beds, but let's thin the herd a little bit. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. And sadly, George is sickly. I would love to be in the luxurious position to be able to take you on, George, and give you a nice place to work. Plenty of happy days tending the animals and just enjoying yourself here. But we are actually starting to... I'm getting a little bit concerned about the amount of time that we have left to get all the work done that I would like to be done before autumn comes around. So I'm afraid we're going to have to say goodbye to you, George. Terribly sorry. There we go. We can actually see the difference in... See, this looks like planks rather than logs. And this looks very much like much more processed planks, but interesting difference there, or rather lack of difference, I should say. Right, there we go. That's all of the trees going to have been planted. That's going to be marvelous. I wonder where they're getting all of the actual trees from. On that note, let's have a look in here. Oh, lamb slaughtered. Good. Should I set up dried mushrooms on there? No, I would like this to just be the preferred place that they get cheese, stew, and butter. And down here, a place for the bros. Since that won't draw attention, this one shouldn't really be getting the bros stored on it, honestly. Maybe I should set this one up not to store bros. Okay, well, we'll set this one up not to allow bros to be stored there, and the bros has to be stored down here in the guest room. Hopefully, our peeps won't go for it all the time, but we'll see how things go. We've got so many hauling jobs. We're up to 528 jobs. My goodness, this is getting a little bit out of hand, if I'm perfectly honest. Now, everywhere you put a field, you're going to generate constant farming jobs, so I'm not as worried about this one. But still, it's a little bit higher than I would like to see, if I'm honest. I would very much like to see that that go a little bit differently. I am concerned that you're not going to be able to get in there and work on these, so I'm going to have to pull these walls down, aren't I? That's a little bit vexing. Okay, given that then, we will remove that. I will remove this wall, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to tear this wall down. Let's demolish that wall and let you get in there and actually build these out properly. I'll set these sections up to be mined instead so that we've got access to these spots in order to lay that down. That should help. Now we've got one idea point. I would very much like to get to the point where we have... Well, I would really like to get to the point where we have 3 and we can put down tiled roofs. I think that's what we're going to wait on. It's going to require a lot of patience though to get that far. It's going to be incredibly tempting for me to spend those idea points on something else. I will try my best to hold back. Okay, it is actually coming up to middle of the day here on the 7th day of summer. We've got traders and jobbers outside waiting for our attention. I'll take the berries and I will also take the mushrooms there, and then we'll sell off some wool hanks. I think we're going to say goodbye to these chicks there. We don't need them. We're also going to say goodbye to this male pullet there. There we go. You can head out. That'll free up a little bit more room in the barn. Let's have a look at the next one. You've actually got some clean wool for us to buy, and I think I will take it because I know I can make a decent amount of money selling the actual wool, the wool hanks back to you. Or hanks again. I'm actually trying to think about it now. It might seem comical to you, but it's really frustrating to me. I can't remember which way to go with it. Let's see. We've got Winterblade over here, and I don't think we really need to say goodbye to any of them here. Maybe we can say goodbye to one of the ewes, but I think we're good, actually. All right, you can head off, though we are actually a little bit low on cash there. I would very much like to take the cheese, though. I'm not going to buy any of the oat chiefs at this point. We are at the point now where I don't think we need to. I will instead sell some planks in order to get back up over the 2,000 point that you know that I like to be at. We're going to say goodbye to you, Jeanette. You're lazy, I'm sorry to see. Tireless and sickly, I'm afraid not. Finally, someone without any particular negatives. Okay, you do actually cost 62. That is kind of a negative, and you don't like harvesting. Also a bit of a negative. However, I think we've got plenty of jobs we can do. You do actually do like farming, which is an interesting one. But the lack of harvesting is a pretty big one there. You're not going to be a farmer at the very least. Could possibly set you up as a rancher, though. That might not be a bad call. Still, is that really the job that we need done the most? I would say it probably isn't. I think we're going to need a builder more than we're going to need a rancher. So, Mary, we're going to take you on, and we're going to be saying goodbye to Nans, who currently is, well, maybe we're not going to be saying goodbye to Nans then. You're a little bit important for us. We've got our rancher here in Angus. We've then got Isabel, who is gathering lumber and mining. So you're a ranger there, as is Nans. Nans really enjoys the mining side of it. You really enjoy the gathering, and gathering is going to be a bit more of an important one for us coming into the future. Which one of you commands the largest salary? It is actually Isabel. So Isabel, it's time to say goodbye to you. Thank you ever so much for all of the work that you've done around the clan. And it's time to say hello to Mary. Welcome, welcome. Okay, Mary's been set up as a builder, so hopefully we're going to be able to get a little bit more of our work done over here. There is a question in that one. We'll see how that goes. So Henriette's getting some good work done. Fantastic. We are not very far away from being able to pick up tiled roof, and I think that's going to be a pretty amazing one for us. In the meanwhile, though, we have got other things that we can do, and that is namely we can start laying down the brick floors. Now, I would prefer these to be room by room because it gives us a nice kind of like tile outline along the walls that way. So we'll painstakingly lay down these bricks, and it's going to be much the same over here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and set up all of this, but we've still got quite a lot of work to do as well. You can see I am very hopeful we're going to be able to get all of these rooms done before the end of summer, or at least be very, very close and actually have the main structures done. And then we'll be slowly adding in all of the furnishings as we go. Some of the furnishings we can bring over from down here, so we're not going to need all of these furnishings done. But there's still quite a lot of work to be done, and not enough time to do it, sadly. New pupper in the colony. What a fantastic time this is. Russell McBride has joined the clan. Please, everyone say hello to Russell McBride. Your human is Brutus Salazar. May you watch over them as they grow into a strapping young adult. But with that, we're going to get back to passing a little bit of time. There's an awful lot of work to be done, but I do like the fact, I don't think I haven't noticed that you're all favouring doing work in this building rather than that one. Do you just prefer the more modern look of these planed planks to the rustic log walls? Who can say? I guess we'll find out. Okay, it is sunrise on the 8th day of summer, and we finally have the 3 idea points that I have been waiting for to get tiled roofs. Let's go ahead and unlock that one. Now, let's see what the span is for a tiled roof. It's still a span of 3, so it's no different from a straw roof. I do believe one of the later stage roofs has a span of 4, which allows you to do a lot more with your roofs, but this is clearly not that one. There we go. Let's get all of these set up. We'll focus on getting at least one of them finished before anything else, and to that end maybe I'll remove, let's zoom right in and just remove these from this side only. There we go. There we are. That should make it a little bit easier for us to get a single cottage done. Of course, I would like to see all of the cottages done if we can, but it makes more sense to try and focus on getting one finished. The walls, of course, that was a bit more of an experiment, and sadly the experiment didn't go our way. It's just the way that was going to be, unfortunately. Right, so let's see. Have we got many people coming in? We've definitely got some traders with animals. We've got 2 job seekers. Honestly, it's almost the end of the season. I'm starting to think that we might not be saying goodbye to Nans or Angus at this point. Right, we've got a trader has brought some bricks. I will actually accept that along with the fish. I'm not looking to get anything else right now, though. We will, of course, sell the crazy amount of linen, though. That should get us a good bit of cash. Really, that is probably going to be our cash cow moving forward, selling linen. Obviously not going to buy the cloth at this point, but that wouldn't be terrible, I suppose. That's everything we really need to do there for the traders. Now, how many jobbers are coming in? We've got one arriving, one waiting. I'll wait for the other one to arrive as well before I make any kind of decision. That being said, you're actually not too bad. The only thing... Oh, my goodness, you're very good at farming. Oh, I don't think I could say no to that. I think we would have to take you as a farmer. Jolly and lazy... I'm going to say no to you. Sorry, Marion. But, Christine, that farming is absolutely madness. I think we're going to have to take you as a farmer, and we're going to be saying goodbye to... we've got a rancher, or we've got our... pretty much the only person who's prioritizing any kind of lumbering or mining. We're going to keep Nans for now, but Angus, we're going to have to say goodbye to you. Thank you ever so much for your extremely hard work. It is deeply appreciated, and welcome at 66 a day to Christine. There we go. Christine has been set up as a farmer, and honestly, I expect big things from you, Christine. We've got an awful lot of work to be done in the farms. We might even actually get an opportunity to plant another set of plants before summer's end, and at that point we can no longer do any kind of planting. The crops will probably have enough time to grow to maturity before the end. Now, let's have a look at what these roofs look like. Oh, that's actually quite fancy looking at that. I like it. I wish there was some degree of happiness that you got from the type of roof that you had, though. That would actually be really, really nice. Like, for having a building with nice tile roofs, they would feel a little bit happier with it. But I guess roofs, for all intents and purposes, are kind of out of sight, out of mind in this game, so it might be a little bit more difficult to represent visually to the player unless you were forcing them to acknowledge that the roofs were there, which might be a little bit of a tricky one to try and organize. But as we can see, the roofs are starting to go in. Let's have a look at where we stand with the tiles. We are already very much out of tiles. How many tiles does each one of these roofs require? 5 tiles per, and 2 planks. Expensive. remarkably expensive. Actually, straw would probably be easier at this point with the 700 odd straw that we have. Maybe we should go for a straw, like a proper straw roof over here, and then save the tiles for this one instead. I don't really want to do that, but it's hard to argue with that. That being said, it would only give me room for like 70 tiles. Still, that's a bit more than we've got with the... 70 cells, but that's more than we would have with the tile roof at any rate. But I'll see how things go for now. We've got a little bit more time. Got plenty of collection quests set... rather, task quests, I guess. Your quest is to go and dig some clay. I'll give you 5 copper pieces if you complete it. Let's get all of these done, though, so that we can continue making the tiles, because we're going to need a lot of them. Who would have thought that building a fancy house would be so costly? It is morning 9, the last but one day of summer. Progress is slow, largely because we need more clay and more tiles and more bricks. That is definitely something that I underestimated when deciding to go full bore fancy with the new cottages. My bad on that one. But we can buy some ore from a wandering trader. I will happily accept that. We are probably going to have to say goodbye to the youngest lamb, as well as a couple more of the chicks. There we go, just to free up more room in the barn there. There we go. That'll do nicely. Thank you ever so much for dropping by. Who's next? We've got some more fish that I can take. Is there anything? Ah, yes, there is. There we go. Linen hacks are gone. We're going to just sit on the amount of planks that we've got. At this point, I don't really want to get rid of those because we may be building with them in the very near future. Now, in terms of the 2 workers we've got, one is lazy, so that's an automatic no, and the other doesn't like care. That's fine for the most part. Okay, so Nans, you actually made it effectively through 2 seasons, but I'm afraid on the 9th of summer we're going to be saying goodbye to you. You are, of course, set up as a ranger. So we're going to need to replace that since this is a fairly important role for us. So goodbye, Nans. Thank you so much for all of your hard work, but it is now time for you to leave. Goodbye to you. And Hector shall be brought on board and set up as a ranger as well, but no doctoring for you. One of very few people in the colony that absolutely detest that job. There we go. Hector is all set up and about their business. And at this point, we no longer need the job board active. We're going to be turning it on in 2 days once again. Maybe I need to rethink this whole cycling everyone every single season. Maybe every 2 seasons. Or maybe we just wait until they're super happy and then say goodbye to them. We'll have to see. But either way, we're starting to make some progress. Now, Mary's actually getting the mining done over here. Fantastic. Very glad to see that. If you can manage to get all of that done, then I'll be happy to set up the plank walls to be built. That would be very, very nice indeed. Now, as for here, we're waiting primarily on someone to do all of the gathering. Now, I've got a bunch of berry bushes set to be gathered as well. We've got 46 jobs for gathering, and of these, I'm going to dramatically increase the priority of the clay, because that's really hampering us right now. So hopefully our latest jobber will get to work on that straight away, and in fact, there we go. Marvelous. Wonderful. Now, let's have a look over here. How are we doing with bricks? We've got plenty of bricks for the floors, but we need clay to be able to lay those bricks. The tiles are an entirely different beast altogether. We just need to bring over the clay and charcoal for that. How are we doing for charcoal? We're actually not doing too well for charcoal. Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, I'm keeping a very low supply of charcoal. I think maybe we need to bump that up a fair bit. Let's go up to 300 charcoal. Do we actually have a charcoal bin at all? I think we do. Do we not? Yes, right there. Charcoal bin should be able to handle maybe 250, so let's adjust this down to 250 just to make sure that we're not trying to overfill it. Though that being said, no, there's an ash bin. It isn't a charcoal bin. 2 charcoal bins would have been wonderful, but alas, no. Right, we've got plenty more work to be done. I'm seeing an awful lot of farming work being done. I'm very, very happy to see that. Oh, I wonder Are these growing here because we've been domesticating these plants nearby? That would be really cool. I definitely get the feeling that there is a degree of spread between the crops. If you have a crop in one spot, it can sort of gradually spread out from there. I'll have to keep a much closer eye to be able to confirm that. But we have, in fact, got an extra harvest of flax planted, and it looks like we've got some extra harvest of both heather and oat as well. That's pretty impressive. On the final days of summer, these are the last days that we'll be able to do that, so I'm pretty happy that they're managing to get that squeezed in, but I would love it if they could focus a little bit more attention on the cottages for now. Well, sadly, poor Margaret over here hasn't got anywhere to sleep, and yet is still relatively happy with her stay. Is going to go back and report that this is a fine inn without beds. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but there we go. This is one of the instances where we had more guests than we had beds for. Definitely an indicator that we need to expand our inn a little bit. Now, we are actually starting to fill up the freezer with carcasses, mostly small game. In many cases, this is just stuff that the cats have caught, or in the case of the fox, something that the dogs have eliminated a threat to our other wildlife. It looks like one of the eggs, though, didn't actually manage to incubate to become viable and has been cooked as an egg. Don't see that too often these days. Got plenty of bros though, and that has been slowly making its way down here. In fact, I'm going to expand that out a little bit more. At this point, I largely don't have our people eat the bros. I try to keep maybe the cooked fish and cooked meat up there, though on that note, I do want to downgrade... Oh, that was my bad. I didn't mean to do that one. I want to reduce the amount of cooked fish we're doing to just 10. I think that would be better than 10 there, just so that we're not constantly putting things up there just for it to rot. I don't want to waste food, even if I do want to try and encourage them to use certain types of food over others. Now, we have got, actually, 3 of the rooms ready. Are they all done? No, we haven't got the roofs over these just yet. If we do this, we should see that we have a little bit left to get the roof over here. So I think I'm going to try and grab these roofs in particular and up their priority so these get done first. And at that stage, I should be able to move out some of the clan into this building. Even if there isn't a full house done, they're effectively not losing out on anything they already have, in that they currently just have a single bedroom, and I'm happy to move them into another single bedroom that is going to look a lot better, if you ask me, or at least I hope so. Now, with that said, we've got some traders. It is now the final day of spring. Let's see what you've brought. We've got more branches than we know what to do with. I will happily take your coal, however. I'll also take the logs to save us on having to dig any up ourselves. And you can have all of the wool hanks there. There we go. That brings us up to, well, not quite where we want to be, but hopefully the other trader will be able to help us out a little bit. I'll take some more fish, sure. I'll also take these tiles happily. At this point, I will take any tiles or bricks that you have to sell. And, well, I guess I could sell a little bit of that, but maybe not. We've got absolutely ridiculous amounts of dry hide. Sure, I'll sell a bunch of that. It would be better if I turned that into clothing, though, if I'm perfectly honest. So maybe something for us to consider in the future is increasing the amount of clothing we're making. I will buy the cheese, sure. The hay we're actually doing okay for. I'll go ahead and I'll buy the flour just for the sake of actually making a trade with you. And we're still above the amount of money that I want to be at, so that should be fine. But a lot of these items are just kind of sat there, which I'm not best pleased about, if I'm perfectly honest. Now, another thing I'm thinking of doing, the other thing I've done, actually, is I've set up more charcoal kilns. We clearly need more charcoal, and this is not a problem that we've run into up to this point, so it's a bit of a new one for us. But one thing I would like to change is I don't want to keep any more snare kits. I don't think we need to be actively hunting the rabbits. We are passively getting plenty of rabbits as food as is. We don't need to be going out of our way to hunt them and reduce their population. And that might in turn help keep the wolves and the foxes away from our livestock. Let's let them have the rabbits. We don't need it. Occasionally the cats will go out there if they can't find any rats to kill, and they'll deal with that themselves, but otherwise we should be good. There we are. Our little storage for carcasses is actually completely full as is. How are we doing for grain? We're doing all right, all things told. We're making more grain all the time. What are we currently working on? Are we... Yeah, we're just constantly working on the grain. Though it says we've got an enormous amount of them. I don't see it myself. Are we storing it down here for some reason? Oh. Take my eyes off them for 5 seconds. Okay, there we go. I do believe we've got a finished room. It's finished enough. I will take it. Let's bump the priority on these 2 areas, though, just to help out. Right. Finally, it's time for us to move some furnishings over. So the bed and the baby basket need to be brought in. We'll start with the bed, of course. Move that over there, and we'll have you in position. I'm going to consider this a win, by the way. I'm going to consider this as having a new cottage. Look, it's replaced the functionality of the old one, and that's all we really needed. Though I would like to do a little bit more, and perhaps I can work on that. Yeah, sure, let's go ahead and try and enhance this a little bit further by adding in some nice decorations underneath. We'll get some heather wreaths above the beds. There we are, something like that, all along those walls, and we can even have some hide decorations on these walls as well. In fact, you know what? We're going to take away that heather wreath and this one, and we're going to put some further hide decorations there. I would love to have the side tables with a little rushlight in there, but I know that will not actually be something that they would like. That would, in fact, make them unhappy for me to put that in there, which is a bit of a shame. You'd think with a rushlight they would just put it out when they didn't want the light, but oh well, here it is. Now, it is only possible for me to do this because presently it is warm enough outside. It's like 20 degrees outside at the moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to try and rush them in here as I am. Nevertheless, I'm happy to do it. Let's go ahead and pop another one there and another wreath there as well. Shall I pop down a straw mat? Can I? Yes, I most certainly can. And because of that, I most certainly will. We'll have some extra rugs in there. This is going to be a very swanky room. Oh my lord. It's going to be such an upgrade to make up for the fact that it isn't a full cottage. Shh. It's fine. As long as they don't bring it up, then it's okay. I don't think they can bring it up. So it's an automatic win for me. Okay. Autumn has arrived in Bentham. Kyra and Terminal Serenity spent their first night in what will eventually be their new cottage. Right now, it is just a room, but it is a nice big room, and they're going to have to be content with that. So that means that this room is available for us to do other things with. And I think the other thing I would like to do with it... actually, first, we're going to break down a couple of these baskets. We no longer need it since we have one wardrobe already built. And in its place, we're going to place 2 bathtubs. A full-on 2 bathtubs is going to be wild. Ah, the luxury they enjoy. Now, the other things that I'm going to need to properly complete these builds is, of course, I'm going to want an iron torch at this point so that we've got some proper lighting in place. Is there anything else I could grab for 2 points? I think there is, and that is going to be the... Let's scroll down, wrong way. The clay pit. Desperately need it because we always need clay. And these are going to be some of the last things that we do in this episode. We're going to squeeze out just a little bit more into the morning. So first and foremost, I'm going to clear this job for the gathering area. And we are going to try and build a clay pit. Now, a clay pit has to be built on clay. It's the only place you can put it. I mean, it all makes sense when you think about it. But I could perhaps just squeeze this in over here so that the person digging the clay doesn't have very far to walk. And I think that's going to be a perfect thing to do. And we'll bring a mulch path right down to that. This is going to allow them to be outside digging that clay well into the night. Now, it might be worth my time actually building a standing torch out here just to help out a little bit, but I think that should be good enough. Now, the other objects that we've got is we've got an iron wall torch. It does not cast sparks, so I can pretty much build this wherever I want in this room. And I think maybe popping one right about there will be lovely for our for the workers as they're taking their bath. Let's see if they can get this done nice and quick. Let's bump the priorities on these all the way up so that I feel like I've made a little bit more progress in today's episode. I mean, we have made a decent bit. We've actually got for all intents and purposes, a functioning room for Bentham to have moved into, and I'm really happy with that, all things told. But we've also got a wardrobe for them, which is wonderful as well. Now, at this point, I'm actually going to create the zone ahead of time. Now, this one is going to be a home zone. So let's set all of this up for their home zone. There we go. Okay, so the zone is now fully defined. We don't really need to set anything up in here because a home zone is a place where they'll just use for their personal needs. Now, I'm going to add a zone member, and that will be... Where are we? Can I click down here? There we go. The full family has now been pulled into that zone. This is now their zone. I wonder if we can change the zone marker in any particular way, but either way, this is now their home, and this is where they will try to satisfy their needs. Now, I also want to expand it out so that other people can take care of needs elsewhere. And so, to that note, can someone have multiple home zones, I wonder? Though this definitely needs to be, this will be Bentham's home, I guess. We'll rename this one from Zone 2 to Bentham's Hearth. There we go. And we will try and set up another zone. Okay, there we go as well. I've set up a third zone, and this will be, I guess, for the time being, workers' barracks. But it will also include Amira's family, as well as Bentham's, for the sake of having access to the bath and the serving table. But eventually, what I would like to do is have just a main kind of communal entertainment area that everyone has access to, in addition to the places they actually sleep. That way I can bring everyone together to play music and to eat. And that's the way I think will be best to organize that. So presently we have 3 zones: a guest house, Bentham's Hearth, and the workers' barracks. I might even change that to workers' hearth. There we go, that'll be a nicer one. Now, in the future, we will also set up Amira's hearth. The person whose name belongs to the hearth will be the clan member, and whoever inherits it after them, so on and so forth. But this looks wonderful, and all of our workers still have access to these buildings to come in and do work. It's just they won't seek to satisfy any of their needs, such as cleaning or eating in these areas. Again, we're not going to be putting eating in here, but I'm actually pretty happy with what we've managed to do, but I'm afraid that is going to be it for today. So we have set up a tree, well, an orchard, I guess. Well, not really an orchard, it's not fruits, but we've set up an area for growing trees and having a replenishing stock of lumber. We have diminished our size of our herds and indeed very heavily reduced the amount of chickens that we have, though we still need to do a fair bit of work over there. We have actually managed to make several passes through these fields. Now, these jobs are going to go away. At this point, there's no more planting to be done. We also managed to set up our first cemetery. We haven't got a cemetery for the actual clan members, and I'm thinking I would actually like to expand this out to include that as well, so that the pets aren't separate to the clan members. They're all part of the same family. But for the time being, since I expect we're going to see a lot more pets dying than actual clan members for quite some time, this will do well for now, and I'll think on how I can further expand that. We have also made enough progress to technically have upgraded Bentham and Kyra's living space, and of course Terminal Serenity. They now have a much better room. Well, I suppose I don't think this was actually a huge room, so they haven't actually downgraded. It's more of a side grade, but once we've got everything else set up in here, it is going to be a massive upgrade. And then over here we've been playing around with some more modern materials, namely the wood walls. But that's going to have to be a job for the rest of autumn. Now, assuming that we can get this one finished relatively quickly, since most of the work, at least on the structure, has already been done, then I would like to try and make a stab at building a workers' barrack proper. There's a big question mark on that one because this took a lot more effort than I really appreciated, and we still haven't even put in a fraction of the furnishings that we need. But I think that's going to be where we wrap up today's episode, and indeed the third summer for the clan. I really do hope you've enjoyed this episode and are enjoying the series as a whole. Again, the comments are open for any feedback as always, but until next time, do take care, everyone.